Hypnosis Confidential Insider Myths. There are several myths that many hypnotists tend to believe about their craft. I call these insider myths and have listed them below. Insider Myth 1. Hypnosis is used for either therapy or entertainment. In the introduction, I explored the common forms of hypnosis, stage hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Some people will tell you that's all there is, or they will add conversational hypnosis to the list and stop there. In failing to look further, they drastically limit the effectiveness and overall usefulness of hypnosis. For most people, hypnosis is a formal activity that takes place in a clear way on a stage or in a therapy room. In each case, it's apparent that something special is about to happen. The hypnotic activity is heavily telegraphed. Within those two contexts, that's useful. The actual mistake is in generalizing that formality to all uses of hypnosis. As you'll soon see, hypnosis is driven primarily by purpose, so it makes sense that a variety of purposes will describe a range of hypnotic forms. Stage hypnosis and hypnotherapy are really only 2 points on a spectrum of purpose. They represent only a narrow band of effectiveness. There's a lot more to explore. Insider Myth 2. Hypnosis is all about using special words. Many hypnotists seem to get caught up in the language. They somehow get the idea that the words they use, the complex intertwining of hypnotic language, is of paramount importance. Many hypnosis students, and surprisingly some practicing hypnotists, rely heavily on hypnotic scripts. Pre-prepared therapeutic interventions are in serious demand, which I find quite shocking, really. My problem with scripting is that the therapeutic treatment is not tailored to the individual in any way. As this course progresses, you'll understand why this goes against the very spirit of hypnosis and is not in the best interest of the hypnotic subject. Hypnosis is an interaction between hypnotist and subject, so using scripted language is a bit insulting to the subject. Just think about another group of people who are famed for their scripted approach: telemarketers. A telemarketing call is about as far from an authentic human interaction as you can get because it's so inflexible and mechanical. It's like a cross between a sales pitch and a sausage machine. If something unexpected happens in that conversation, it breaks the machine. The telemarketer will often get confused at this point and try and start where they left off or go right back to the beginning. It really doesn't work. The telemarketing sausage machine is really easy to break too, because the telemarketer has a script, while the person they've called doesn't. Now think about this. What happens when the hypnotherapy sausage machine breaks down? And remember, this is therapy that they have paid good money to receive. Scripts and set pieces of hypnosis are only useful as examples of how to achieve a particular outcome. They're not really intended to be used word for word. The key to unlocking the full effectiveness of hypnosis is flexibility. However, that requires more effort and more skill than going through a fixed process. Most practicing hypnotherapists use just one hypnotic induction. The most common of these is the progressive relaxation induction, where the hypnotist guides you to relax your body bit by bit from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes. This is the hypnosis sausage machine at work. The skill required is minimal and the results are nowhere near as good as they could be. There are only 2 things you need to be able to do in order to use hypnotic language effectively within an ordinary conversation. I'll explore these thoroughly later in this course. Insider Myth 3. Using hypnosis outside of the therapy room is unethical. For various reasons, some hypnosis students get the idea that hypnosis is a kind of therapy. Even those who aren't therapists can form this opinion. That makes it difficult for them to practice, and it limits their effectiveness to the therapy room. Well, hypnosis isn't therapy. It does have therapeutic applications. It does have other applications too, in your existing areas of interest, and you can practice sharpening your skills in those areas instead. Additionally, therapy is a remedial mindset, in which all activity is focused on fixing areas that are judged to be deficient or broken in some way. The highest goal available within that mindset is to be okay or normal. A different mindset allows us to aim for excellence and far beyond. The best way for you to broaden your opportunities to practice hypnosis is to broaden the range of contexts in which you apply it. And you will have a variety of mindsets to draw upon that will guide applications. For example, hypnotic language can be used to entertain people through storytelling, and storytelling has therapeutic and business applications too. Many people avoid certain types of practice on purely ethical grounds. Before I really get into this, I must say that there are unethical applications of hypnosis. However, there is nothing inherently ethical or unethical about hypnosis itself. Think of hypnosis as a set of tools. The ethics are dependent on the choices and intention of the person applying them. For example, a knife can be applied to prepare dinner or save life during surgery, or it can be used as a lethal weapon. The application itself is key. What it all comes down to is the purpose behind the use of hypnosis and the desired outcome. Working towards mutually agreed outcomes is obviously ethical. And it's not always necessary to explicitly agree the outcomes. Somebody might state their wants and you might see a win-win. The intervention itself need not be explicit. In many cases, the outcome could be easier to achieve if done subtly. If the hypnosis is used to the benefit of the hypnotist only, and against the interests of the other party, then it's really not ethical. Fortunately, this deliberate, self-centered influence isn't as effective as many people think. So many hypnotists are caught up in the intricacy of the technology that they don't stop and realize that most people will know if there's something wrong, or they'll intuit if the person is untrustworthy. So the more responsible choice is to bring hypnosis into every area of your life and move towards positive ethical outcomes. Insider myth 4. Conversational hypnosis is just like therapeutic hypnosis. All of the approaches to conversational hypnosis that I'm aware of begin with a model of formal hypnosis and attempt to alter it so it sounds more conversational. Why is that? Well, this is really a confusion of terms. Milton Erickson's therapeutic style was more conversational and flexible than the traditional hypnotic scripts, so it's often referred to as conversational hypnosis. However, it would be a mistake to think that it's a form of hypnosis that would go unnoticed in a normal conversation. Erickson's approach is still geared towards a formal hypnotic environment. To be truly hypnotic in normal conversation requires a different approach. In a formal hypnosis session, you get them to close their eyes, then you do some sort of hypnotic induction and lead them to relax whilst focusing on your voice. Then you make direct or indirect suggestions depending on your model of hypnosis. The problem with that method is that the language and behaviours of formal hypnosis are structured very differently from a conversation. It's a bit like using a frying pan as a hammer. They're both made of the same material, but they differ greatly in their effectiveness when used in a different context. Instead, I want to give you something more useful, an easy yet powerful way of creating hypnotic conversations. Fortunately, if you look at the basic structure of hypnosis in a more flexible way, it opens up a new path to simple conversational hypnosis. The solution is to use the opposite approach. You begin with a conversation and interact with purpose while incorporating a loose hypnotic structure. More about how you can do this later on. Insider myth 5. Hypnosis is a covert, clandestine, stealthy, or somehow edgy activity. I hear a lot these days about covert hypnosis. The word covert used to imply secrecy, but also suggests something furtive and stealthy, and has military mind control connotations. That edginess sells a lot of books and courses, I'm sure, but this is total nonsense or worse. The idea of taking people covertly into trance is the wrong way of thinking about it. The hidden presupposition is that communicating using hypnosis is somehow dishonest, and that you're going to do it anyway. It's easy to see the attitude behind that's all wrong. In the covert frame, you're basically trying to hide your intentions. And most people can spot a hidden agenda, even if they don't know exactly what outcome you're after. They just know that something's wrong, and the result is you can lose their trust. The different levels at which you're communicating, words, voice tone, body language, will not match if you're trying to deceive or mislead with hidden or covert intent. It's a bit like a soft sales pitch. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and then it becomes apparent they aren't really interested in you, but just trying to sell you something? Most people have had that experience at some point in their lives. How does that feel? Not great, I can assure you. However, you probably don't mind if a person is openly selling you something you want or need. That's honest, sincere behaviour. All the levels of communication, all the signals match. It's straightforward and ethical, and everyone wins as a result. The same goes for hypnosis, so think win-win when you formulate your intention, when you decide the purpose behind the trance. The solution is to think about hypnosis differently. Suppose you think of hypnosis as a way of communicating with people in a compelling and interesting manner. It's the same process as before, but there are important differences in the intention behind it.